G'day folks, we're back out in the shop here. Buick Enclave's back. This guy was in here back in, I guess it was August, late summer anyways. We did a motor swap on this. They blew a rod bearing out of it and picked up a junkyard engine and we put it in. It's been running fine, 5 months. So I guess the other day they were backing up a trailer. I don't know how big a trailer, didn't really say. And it went into limp mode on them. The check engine light come on. I don't know if it had anything to do with the trailer or whatnot, but it just probably circumstantial. Anyways, they put a cheap code reader on her there and scanned it and come up with a bunch of codes. So it's back for me to have a look at it. We're gonna do a quick code scan and see what's going on here. Okay, there's a code scan I just ran. Didn't want to bore you with that. We got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 codes coming up. We got some misfires, oxygen sensor, bank 1 sensor, or sorry, bank 2 sensor 1, and then up here we got a bank 1 sensor 2, so opposite banks. Fuel system trim, fuel rail pressure too low, fuel pressure regulator to performance, injector 2 leak. So the leak is probably related to these, obviously. If it's leaking at the injector, you're going to have low pressure and the regulator is going to come up. That probably will throw off your O2 sensors and cause misfires. So it's looking like we got a bad injector possibly. Well, first thing is getting all this plastic goop out of the way. Well, right off the hop, as soon as I looked in here, I noticed that there's a line unplugged and all taped up. That wasn't done before. I don't think that would cause it, but probably need to have everything plugged in. So I've been running it for a couple of minutes here. Sometimes with those codes you never really know because one thing can cause a cascading list of errors that are just because of that one thing's gone. Like the oxygen sensors will throw up all kinds of codes for other things sometimes. But I think we're gonna have to pull that intake and see what's going on in there. Just took the plastic junk off here, nothing to that. We're gonna get going on pulling this intake off of here. Seems like not that long ago I just did this. Tabs will hold these wires in here. Now I can get the intake off like that. Remove this. One line. Plug. Auto body. That guy out. Okay, intake can come off. Something's been trying to make a nest under there. Only thing with those is you got to remember to take them back out before you put it all back together. The engines don't like that when you suck in a bunch of rags. Anyway, that's just to keep stuff from falling down into the engine while we're working here. And that'll let us see our injector rails. Now I don't smell gas on the styrofoam thing at all, and if it was leaking you'd smell gas. Just unplug the front of the fuel rail here. So the cylinder we're looking at for the leak is this guy right here, S2. You can see the way the intake's labeled out, that being the front of the engine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But we're going to pull it apart, so we got to take the lines off, the feed lines here, then you got the connector line from front rail to back rail right here. So this engine's pretty cold. I'm just going to wrap a rag around it to catch the gas, and then we're going to purge this pressure. You can release the pressure at the port or this, it's the same. I find this a little easier to get at. So that's your connecting line. Okay, so we just loosen that, get it out of the way. There's our other connector right there. Right, and there's our pressure feed line. And the swivel is kind of nice because you can't really get a straight socket on them because of the shape here. They're going to hit these ports on these two. This one's not so bad, but getting these rails out is not fun. And that's a tight spot to get them through here. All right, if they give you an extra 1/4 of an inch, these rails will come out real easy. But because of the way these intake ports are, you can see even the sockets hit the intake ports. And to get that front bolt, you got to pull this sensor out here. Okay, it's a pressure sensor. I couldn't remember which one, but you got to pull the back rail to get the front rail because that sensor port hits. There's just no clearance for it there. So we're going to pull both rails. All right, so 4 bolts for each rail. They come out relatively easy, but again, you need a swivel. They're 13. And they don't come out easy, I promise you that. Not as easy as the Rusterados. There's our back injector rail. In a perfect world, this is the way they come off. The rails come off the injectors, but that don't always work that way. We've definitely got a couple coming out with it here. There we go. There's our front rail. All right, you can look down in there. There you can see your back injectors with the row rings. So now that we got our rails out, we got to get our actual injectors out. And you got to kind of pull all 3 at the same time because you can't get at the darn things. And because these are the direct injection, they go right into the cylinders. They're a pain. Worst of it is they don't give you enough room to get more than 1 finger on in each hand. It's like they don't want you to change anything on these cars nowadays. Once you get them all loosened up from the head, you can pull them right out here, like so. Once you got them here, then you can get your plugs off. And 2, nothing unusual, but it's not leaking gas out here. The O-ring looks to be good, so we probably need an injector.
The next morning.
Okay, folks, well, the customer tried to find a used injector from when we did this engine swap, but apparently they threw them out. So, or I did. I don't know. Somebody threw them out, but they're long gone. That's the end of that story. So, we priced out an injector at Napa. $333. That's Canucky a buck. So, I don't know. It's like $17 US or something. Probably not that good, but it's ridiculously expensive for 1 injector. So, a little bit of looking around, and Amazon did provide, once again, this is A Premium, same ones I put in my Silverado a couple weeks ago there. Got the whole set for $176. So I got 6 injectors for half the cost of what Napa wanted for 1. Quality? Who knows? We're going to find out though. Okay, we're just getting our new injectors ready to go back in. You got to put your clips in. They don't come with the new ones, so save them. And they just kind of go on there like that around the wire. Because these just sit in there. There's nothing actually that holds them into the combustion chamber. So if that clip's not there, they're just going to come shooting out. The rail sits on top and pushes down with those because the rail's bolted in. And that's what keeps your injector in place. Once you got all of them done, you can start sliding them back into here. And the wire is kind of obvious where it's got to end up. They don't give you a whole lot of wire, so you can't really spin it too far. That's going to hit the head if you do that, so it's got to be back this way. So that's the back one. The back one has the extra plug that goes onto that sensor on the fuel rail. All right, and there's your main plug. If you got a lot of dirt down there, you want to clean that out. Try not to get the stuff into the combustion chamber. All right, so there's really nothing to this. You just slide that whole system in there. That's a little better. Now I can see. Mike's at work, or I'd make him hold the light so I can yell at him. See? There's why you put stuff into your manifolds. You never know when a giant fly's going to land in there. Heck's a fly doing in January. Same thing here. I just didn't unplug that one because the plug is farther down. And plug them all back in. Get your gas squirters all sorted out here. Just make sure that your clips are all in all the way so they don't come out. And line things up. I know the holes are there somewhere, but can't for the life of me see them. Okay, so I went and did the front injectors because they're the hard ones because you can't see the ports unless you can get your head in here, which, yeah, no. That just ain't happening. The back ones you can actually see the holes from up here, so that's much easier to put it in. Again, you can actually look in there and you can see right where you need to line things up, so it's a fair bit easier than the front side. Okay, there's your injectors. You can see the 3 front ones. They're the hard to get. All right, guys, Emanuel Online's got you sorted out. If you're working on one of these things, use your code SHNEB22 at checkout for 22% off. Has everything you need right there. There's the one for this car. Okay, so that was the hard part, is actually getting them in and out, the actual injectors and the wires, because there is like no room in here. And if you got big sausage fingers, that's even more fun. The little rubber, the blue rubber O-rings there, just put a little bit of oil on your finger and clean them up. It makes the injector rail so much easier to go on. Okay, next thing's going on is our injector rails. Remember, there are 2 different ones, right? The back one has a single fuel line connector. The front one has 2. The front is the one you want to put in first, because if you put the back one in, this little nub where that sender goes on there will hit, and you'll have to force it around this. And again, because we put the oil in, it just makes these easier to slide over those rubber O-rings. Usually they'll pop down. Those are new O-rings, so they're going to be a little bit of a fight. All right, so I got the front rail in place. I just got the bolts put in hand tight here. All right, front injector rail is in. Now let's get on to the back one. Actually, because you can wiggle the back one a little more, I got the front one already right on. Okay, when it comes to torque, I'll give you this one for free. It's 17 foot-pounds. All right, fuel pressure sensor can go back in now. Technically, you don't got to take it out, but it just gives you more room to get at this one bolt. Just like so. Do our fuel lines. Okay, remember the one with the longer end comes from your injector pump into the first fuel rail. The connector one goes from front to rear fuel rail. Doesn't matter which end goes where. And we need a 17 to tighten those up. All right, fuel lines. Fuel lines are done. Nothing left now but the intake manifold. So let's remember to get rid of our raggies here. I'm just gonna clean those surfaces a little bit. They're actually really clean. Remember, this engine's only been in here a few months and would cause a vacuum leak, which we don't want. Gook is bad. All right, before we go any further, let's plug our injectors back in here. Where are you? You're down here hiding. Injector plug. Like so. And we got another foam hoo-ha that goes in here. You gotta have your foam hoo-has. Sits in there like that. 2 pieces of foam in a place that I don't even know why you need foam there, but we got them. They're there. We got our gasket going on. Like so. Okay, same thing here. Got the manifold all cleaned up. Time to put that puppy back. 6 bolts, 1 shorty, 5 long. Shorty goes right down here, kind of behind the throttle body. For now, I'm just nugging them up. Not really torquing just yet. See, we torque things around here. This O-ring here that goes in the top of the intake gets really dry. And it's kind of tough to get out. So I'm putting a little oil on it so it'll pop in there a little nicer. Like so. Just plugging stuff in. Pluggity plug, plug, plug. Throttle body right there. Okay, we got this hard hose here. It goes back on right there. Up into that. Get that bolt in down there. Got a little hose dealy here. Never, ever, 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 ever want to go on easily. There we go. This hose here that was disconnected when this rolled in. It's just a crankcase ventilation, so it's not going to cause anything significant, but it definitely needs to be plugged in. 2 hose clamps, and we're ready to start this sucker. Alright, well there we go. She's running, no problem, no fuel leaks. Smooth as can be. Let's put our goofy little cover on here so that everybody knows that it's a 3.6 liter and it's got pretend engine stuff on it. There she is running with no trouble codes. How about that? Okay folks, 2011 Enclave. We did the oil change, replaced bank 1 sensor, 2 oxygen sensor. The all 6 injectors are new. No more codes. We cleared 10 codes by doing all that work. Most of them are related to the leaky injector. It was solenoid in there. What happens is sometimes they just aren't closing all the way. The spring's getting old, the injector gets dirty, and no matter how much it tries to close, it can't. So it's continually leaking fuel, which gave us our rich condition on that bank and was causing misfires. And having an oxygen sensor completely unplugged probably wasn't helping things a whole lot for trouble code wise anyways. So that's all good. No more check engine light. Anyways, hopefully if you guys have similar problems, this helps you out. Like, comment, and subscribe. And we'll see you on the next one.